Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bits and Caffeine. We're back with another Byte-Sized weekly. Today we'll be going over some news that Alex has brought to the table, some gaming news that I have brought to the table, and then, what everyone's been waiting for, we have a guest star for our first, basically our first ever guest star.
Yep.
And they'll be bringing their own host trials to the game. I think we'll be kind of working with getting more guest stars on, just to kind of broaden our horizons. What do you think, Alex?
Makes sense. Yeah, no, I like the idea. Yeah, I think I don't know much about this game that we're going to be playing later. I do know that you've kind of like kept it under the radar as you normally do, so I'm like a little excited about that. Obviously, we've never had a guest star, so that'll be interesting in and of its own. So yeah.
Yeah, we use this software called Riverside to record all of our audio, so we're going to try running it with another person, which actually, honestly, Riverside makes it extremely easy to do so we'll see what happens. Anyways, What have you brought to the table for this news segment, Alex?
Alrighty. I got a few different things. I'd say there's kind of like 4 different news segments. One that's probably like my favorite of all of them, and one that we'll probably talk about the most. The first one, and this one's probably like one of the smallest ones. So obviously Linux. You've worked in it a while. Do you use that often for your own work currently, or like at all?
I do not use it for my current work. No, I know of like areas where it could be used, but we don't really use it too often now.
Okay. So I know, but okay, you're familiar with the sudo command, correct? And it's kind of a random question,
of course.
But you're familiar with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a Linux, but also a Mac OS like terminal command that obviously Windows just has never had, and but apparently in Windows Server 2025 they're going to be bringing that over as something that you can actually use in the terminal. It's not like it's going to be any game changing thing, because at the end of the day it's pretty much like running an administrator, but they will be bringing that over so that you can sudo into the root, which I think will be kind of interesting. And just like if you're in Windows Server 2025, I don't think most people have a Windows Server 2025 or will have that, but like it'll be its own interesting thing, and maybe also potentially bring over some security side effects, which we'll see. I don't know. It'll be new for Windows.
Oh boy, I cannot wait.
Yeah, I mean, you work with Windows servers, right? Maybe. Perchance?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do work with Windows servers.
Yeah, it makes sense. So that might be something you'll experience in like a few years. I don't know how up to date your servers are and stuff like that. Are they pretty up to date or no?
That's not an answer for me. I would not know.
Okay, fair enough. I know. I think one window. I've worked with a Windows Server 2003, which was intentional because they wanted to back when we were working in school, they wanted to give us something that was not very secure, that was hard to secure. So that's why we worked with that. But I haven't worked with any relatively new servers much at all, aside from like occasionally at work, but never really something that I'm doing, mostly like kicking in for something else. But yeah, I just brought that. I saw that and I was like, I figured that was kind of interesting. Could maybe become like a security issue, maybe, or maybe just like a security question in the coming years when that actually comes out, because 2025 is still a little bit away. So yep, that's that's that one.
What was the reasoning for it? Like, why are they bringing it over? I don't think you brought that up at all.
No, honestly, I have no idea. They didn't say anything. They're just bringing it over to bring it over, which I guess kind of makes sense, because we don't really have. I mean, there's ways, I think, to get to like the root access basically in Windows using commands, but sudo is like this. Everyone knows sudo. If you know Linux, if you know Mac OS, it's like the first thing. It's one of the first things you do if you're trying to do something from the root access. So I think it's just kind of interesting, since it's never been a part of Windows, and now it's going to be, probably. I mean, I don't know if it'll be used that often in Windows Server 2025, but it's never been a part of Windows. So moving forward, I'm interested to see how that goes. So,
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, I have no idea. No idea why they did that. No idea whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that's just interesting. I don't think they're going to be calling over any Linux users to Windows. That's not happening in a million years. No offense to Windows, but Linux users are very particular and don't want to switch over. That's the whole reason they're doing Linux to begin with.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure about that one.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yep. That's yeah, so this next one's kind of interesting. It's also kind of small, but okay, so apparently I think this is in South China or Hong Kong or whatever. A company lost $25.6 million because of a deep faked conference call. That's like the start of the start of the statement. Essentially, essentially one of the employees was brought into a group video call, which they thought was full of their coworkers and company officers, including their CFO. But it was deep faked. It was all deep faked, and it got them to like this employee got scammed, and the company lost $25.6 million because of it. Deep fake, a deep fake video call, not a video, just a video, a full on video call.
We knew this would happen eventually.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy though. How much money was lost, and just like that's impressive. I mean, it's impressive.
Did they catch the guy?
No, it was probably multiple people, but I don't think they caught him. And I think this just happened. So,
based.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend anyone doing that, but base.
Well, obviously, we don't recommend anybody doing that. But yeah, it kind of just ends off the quick, basically like tweet level statement of like this sort of fraud will only get worse, which it 100%. Will. Yeah, as crypto scams on YouTube and blackmail using deepfake, other things that I cannot say on this. Never mind, I almost said a word I can't say on this.
With streamers nowadays, they already deal with people putting their faces into pornography, so it's not like out of the realm to be like, oh, I'm going to fake a conference call. Like, that's going to happen. That's going to happen with everything else. There's not much we have in the way of legal jurisdiction to stop it. And honestly, it's the internet.
Detection, too.
No legal stuff is going to stop it. All they can really do is put out a little post being like, hey, this wasn't us. This is fake. Here's the proof. But by that time, with the market,
the damage has already been done.
Yeah, stock wise, they hear one thing, they don't question it. They'll take their money out real quick. So it makes sense that would happen.
Exactly. Yeah. But I thought that was kind of interesting and kind of terrifying, honestly, with how much how we definitely knew that was coming, but like a full on deep fake conference call where you genuinely believe that was the your company officers telling you to do certain things. Genuinely just terrifying. Yeah, that's kind of the reason I brought that one up. Next one we've got, this one's also kind of another small one. Apparently there was another meeting in the Senate. This one's not about AI, but this one's about kind of just like bringing all of the tech CEOs and trying to do a little bit more with child safety on certain social media platforms, etc. So like Meta, obviously TikTok, Snapchat, Discord, etc. I think Discord was on. Yeah, Discord and X and stuff like that. So essentially, they held this meeting. They kind of brought it before. This isn't new, nor will it be the last time they do this. But just kind of not saying that I think it's interesting per se. I just think it's this is something that's been going on apparently since 2017. These meetings kind of just these backlash that these companies are getting because of issues with child safety and stuff like that, between bullying, grooming, extortion, and other stuff. So
yeah, I mean, at the same time, we're back to the same thing where it's going to be insanely difficult to legally do stuff with that when it comes to the internet. It's the internet. It's going to keep happening over and over again. Nothing's really going to change. That's the problem.
Yep.
And they have to step into an area where they don't know, and they're trying to figure it out. Not even the people that made the software can fix it.
Exactly.
Now, there's probably ways to fix it, but the question is, do they want to fix it? Because in the long run of things, that's just going to cause more problems for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's always been a problem with Discord that I'm aware of. People talk about, but
there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, there's a whole area to that. You can just report, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And the software has to do what they do. But it's all down to like Discord, Snapchat, Instagram. When they get these reports, what they do with them, no one knows what they do with them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the point that the Senate's trying to do here. They're just trying to hold the owners. They're trying to hold the CEOs. They're trying to hold the companies accountable for the stuff here to make sure that they're doing as much as they can to prevent child harm, to prevent bullying, grooming, and stuff like that from happening on these applications. But there's only so much they can do, and there's obviously the question of how much are they actually doing behind the scenes. I don't think any software that I'm aware of
has a positive rep for being against that stuff or showing that they actually do stuff about it. Companies will show they do stuff about it, but nobody actually has a positive rep on it. So
yeah,
kind of difficult.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it is difficult to do, and a question of how much they're actually doing. Anyway, that's pretty much that one. Nothing really else to add to that one. And now on for the one that's my favorite. Obviously not to say that those other ones weren't. I'm going to continue. I don't know where I was going with that. Have you heard of the one? Do you know the? Have you ever heard of the Apple Vision Pro? It's something that came out very recently.
Yes, I am well aware of the. I keep seeing posts about it.
Okay, yeah, it's something I kind of knew was happening since because it's not really the first version of AR glasses to come out, and it was actually something I was thinking about bringing up a few months ago, but it was never that big. They were making AR glasses. It was hella cool. You could essentially have this extra screen on, but now with the Vision Pro, it seems to be a point where actual people are buying it now, and I'm wondering how much of the future this actually is.
It looks ridiculous.
It does kind of look ridiculous, but because Apple made it, and it's like. It might actually be, ironically. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of Apple. I think you know this. I've never been the biggest fan of Apple. I don't think their products are bad. I just don't know. I just don't really like the innovation steps that they take and the stuff that they do with that. But this might change my mind to some extent on Apple. Not entirely per se, but the Apple Vision Pro. I haven't seen that much, but from what I have seen. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely got a lot of bugs. It's got a lot of flaws. It's still basically a beta at this point. I don't know how much it's actually released, but it's pretty cool. I won't lie, and I'm wondering how much of the future we're actually looking at with this.
Can I have a couple $1,000s? I'll buy it, test it for you.
It's $3,500, right? That's the number I saw. Yeah, I mean that's not terrible.
Tempted. It looks ridiculous, but I'm tempted.
But it's really cool. It looks ridiculous, but it's really cool, and it's not perfect, but it's kind of well built from what I've seen. And my thoughts on this, because I was thinking about it like a couple of months ago, like I said. So you know how like if you go back 10 years from now, okay, how many people were using Bluetooth earbuds? It was mostly, Bluetooth earbuds were mostly like a conference call, like a business person, like they're trying to be on a call while they're on the move, etc. It wasn't a very common thing to walk around with a Bluetooth earbud in your ear, like 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, but around 10 years ago. And now almost everybody has Bluetooth earbuds. So, I mean, and honestly, I think it was only really a few years where it went from basically nobody had them to most people had them, and I think one of the major reasons for that was the AirPods Pros, and that makes sense. Or not the AirPods Pros, but the initial AirPods, and that makes sense. But I'm thinking that the AR glasses, they have kind of been a thing for a couple of years, but they weren't that popular, and they had a lot of bugs. I'm wondering if this is going to be that like step that takes for it to be like that. 0.001% of people have this, and it's really cool to like. Half the population has it in 2 years, has some sort of version of this in 2 years. I wonder. Because it's really cool. It's really cool. Like you can walk downstairs and you're still connected to your computer upstairs kind of technology. Plus so much more. So yeah, I think it's hella cool. That's why I brought it forward.
It just looks stupid.
It does look kind of stupid.
Ridiculous. But at the same time, I do want to try it.
I would love to try one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Apple sponsorship. If you, forget the stuff I said about not liking you.
I could technically afford it.
Yeah, I think we could both afford it, but should we?
No,
maybe.
I'm gonna wait a bit and see what they think. But yeah, no, I just wish it was a little bit more, slim and not like big box on your face like VR headsets are.
If they, my thoughts, honestly, given the way that just technology works in general, and maybe not Apple per se, but if they get a lot of people looking at this, they get a lot of people buying it. They may make a slim version, and it may be a little bit cheaper. What did you see? What did you see? Okay,
this is okay. I'm probably keep this audio in, but I'm gonna send this image to you and see how you react to it.
What is that?
It's the Apple Vision Pros and the Dyson Air Purifier headphones.
Dyson. What?
The future is now, old man.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's yeah, I'd never seen those headphones before. Oh, what else? Why is that a thing?
It's so stupid. Why would someone
really
do
does.
it?
It looks like you're trying to be like...
Bane.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I can confidently say, in my humble opinion, that the Vision Pro...
For the
I can confidently
listeners, we are currently just pulling up images of the Dyson's air purifier headphones. They look ridiculous because they have a little face mask on it that goes all the way around with the headsets.
Oh, that's terrible. That's like, is there like a mouth guard that you put in your mouth and then breathe through that, or is that like, how does that, like, what's the inside of that look
I
like?
don't know. It's too hard to question that. I'm not even going to think about it. All right. Anyways,
That's
continuing on. Anything else you have to add for tech news?
Okay, I'll just say this. Looking at the first video, the first image you sent, okay, with the headphones and the Dyson purifier, whatever. Dyson makes headphones. Looking at those, I will say that the Vision Pros look better. They look a little bit better in comparison. So, that's that. I'll leave it off on that. How does that work? Why is that a thing? Oh, Jesus Christ.
It shows you how it works on the thing. The air goes into the headphones and then goes through to their nostrils. But where does the carbon dioxide go when you breathe out?
No. See,
it's carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. No, I'm retarded.
Carbon.
Oh, I'm
CO2. It's just CO2. It's just CO2. Call it CO2.
CO2.
Yeah.
Where does the CO2 go when you breathe out?
So if you look at the bars, there's a blue bar on the bottom. I feel like there's probably an exhale thing right underneath it, and that's probably where it goes. Maybe
probably.
That would make the most sense.
All right,
okay.
We're gonna get this going with. I got 3 reports here plus an extra one. Microsoft plans to launch Starfield for PlayStation 5.
I saw that coming. I'm not gonna lie. That makes
to the
sense.
Surprise of no one, because no one is playing Starfield anymore. God, please enjoy Starfield. Stop playing games like Pal World and Lethal Company. Enjoy our game, please. You worked really hard on it.
Hey, I'm gonna play Starfield again. I'm just waiting for like the weekend, which I have nothing else to do, and then I'm gonna spend that entire weekend doing it. That's my plan. Yeah.
Anyways, that's a little drop in the bucket compared to what I got here. This is a report done by the GameIndustry.biz. Wow, really, really legit name we got here. Okay. This is a survey done by Griffin Gaming Partners. This is a survey taken from 5 game studios.
Okay.
And it says 95% of studios are working on or aiming to release live service games. So screw the concept of a new game coming out every couple of years. No, we are working on one game. We're going to keep updating it, and you're just going to play this one game over and over and over again. We're not going to make new games at all. Who needs new releases? Who wants new content? No. You get new content for this game only. No. You want to play a space game? Well, guess what? We made a war game, so you're going to play that instead, and maybe we'll do a space DLC eventually.
Yeah, that's probably exactly how that's going to go. Call of Duty is just going to be the same game, and then it's going to go back into... boots off the ground kind of technology, like jetpacks flying around and everything. But it's still going to be Call of Duty, the same game.
Great, I can't wait. That makes me really happy.
Yay!
I hate live service games, or I love them by studios that have already created live service games that are good. But the studios that are just trying to jump on it just for the money, I hate. So,
yeah,
it's great.
Would one of those first ones? Would those be like Fortnite?
Are you kidding me?
I'm just wondering. Would you classify that as
RuneScape?
Company you like?
RuneScape. That was a live service game. RuneScape was the main one. But also looking at some of the other stuff, it looks like 66% agreed that live service games are necessary for long-term title success. That's probably true.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I agree with that. I agree with that a lot.
That's fair. Yeah.
So it makes sense. Live service games are just kind of it at this point, and you can make a whole company around one game. I don't blame them at all. I mean,
if you make that game big enough and you add, if you actually add enough to that game consistently, then yeah, I think it's good. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't like Fortnite per se. I don't really hate it or anything, but they do add enough, I think, to keep it alive. And I think most people thought it was going to die a long, long time ago, and it is still alive. So that is a testament to how successful one can be. That's fair.
We'll skip it on over here. Speaking of live service games that make a lot of money, Tencent. Do you know who that is?
I've heard that name, but
You better
not
know
off
who
the
that
top of
is.
my head. Okay. I'll probably know
And
game
I
names.
will say now for the record, do not roast Tencent. Do not talk badly about Tencent. I love Tencent so much. I love everything about Tencent. Please don't come after me.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just reading off something. Tencent CEO feels its game business achieved nothing during 2023. So that sounds a little bit weird. Let's think. Who is Tencent?
What
You
games
gonna
do they make?
try to
No,
explain-
I
try
really
to-
don't.
No, anything about Tencent is a Chinese holding company. They're a technology conglomerate, and let's take a look. They're basically the biggest in China.
Okay. Biggest tech company
yes.
in China.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're huge in China. That's kind of why I'm getting to the fact of saying not talking badly about them.
I see.
Yeah, so it looks like from the looks of it, let's go over a little bit of some of the games they own, or some of the studios they have invested with.
Okay.
Just for the record, this is taken from an article from 2020, so it's a little bit earlier on, but it's fine. They probably still own them. Riot Games, it says that they own 100% of.
Okay.
So that's League of Legends,
Yep.
Valorant,
Mhm.
all those nice little goodies all added together. From what I'm aware of, actually, it looks like Riot Games, a lot of their, from what I've seen later on, or earlier on, it looks like they kind of had a little freak out and fired a bunch of people because none of their future projects were looking that good. So that happened a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Epic Games, they own 40% of.
Okay.
So Fortnite.
Yeah. Fortnite.
A couple other smaller games, especially Epic Games Launcher, which I don't use and I hate it. Kind of going down the list here. There's an image of PUBG on here, but I don't see anything but PUBG. We'll continue on. Blue Hole. Oh, that's PUBG. Okay. It says they own 11% of PUBG.
All right. That's not too bad. That's only a little bit of a foothold.
Yeah, a little bit of a foothold. That's probably different now, but yeah. Looks like at 2020 they owned 5% of. Yeah, that's 5%.
Yeah.
That's Tencent will publish Ubisoft games in China, which caused its own fury of backlash over censorship. Of course, 5% of Activision. I'm going to keep going. Grinding Gear Games. They have about 80%, which is like Path of Exile. Some smaller ones. Let me know. I'm going to go through a couple of these. Let me know if you've heard of them. All right.
Okay. Yep.
Supercell.
Yeah. Well, obviously. Clash of Clans.
All
Yeah.
right. Platinum Games.
I don't think so. No. Not off the top of my head, at least.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't actually know any games that come from Platinum Games. I should have known that before I brought that up.
Maybe
they
I
are
know
a
some
Japanese game studio that I've never heard of before. Going to their official website here, Bayonetta. What? Okay. What? That doesn't sound right. No, Bayonetta 3, and then a couple other games I've never heard of. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Jaeger. Do you know what that is?
I don't know. I don't know if they. I know the name, but I don't think I know it as a company.
Looks like they made Spec Ops The Line was one of the games they made, which is a beautiful game, which was taken off Steam recently. So if you don't own it now, you'll never get it later. And if anybody that doesn't have the game, I recommend trying to find a copy of it and playing it, because it is traumatizing, and I love it. You're laughing, dude. It is bad. You kill a bunch of civilians with white phosphorus. It's supposed to be like a scarring moment because you're walking. So, okay, I'm going to go through this a little bit. I may censor this later. In the game, you know where the enemies are. So you're like, all right, we're going to drop white phosphorus, which is a war crime, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They drop it, and it goes off, obviously, and you're walking through the wreckage, and you see a bunch of civilians, children, and adults all over, burned to death by the white phosphorus, and you realize, you're like, oh crap, you screwed up, and you have to walk through the entire thing, and it's like, it's all your fault. So
Dang,
it's like,
it's
great, the game's amazing.
That is scarring.
Other games they made was like The Cycle, which you can't play anymore, because The Cycle doesn't exist. Let's see, what other ones we got here? Anything else? Paradox Interactive sounds familiar. I cannot actually think of what they made, though.
I got it.
And the biggest one, which doesn't have any effect to this, what we're currently talking about, Paradox Definitive made Cities Skylines.
Okay. Yeah, I know that one.
And Prison Architect and Stellaris and Victoria and some other games. One of the biggest ones they have is that they gave a decent amount of funding that isn't disclosed to Discord. They own a big percentage of Discord, which I don't think is in relation with the gaming at all, but it's fine. So yeah, I mean, Tencent's not feeling too good that they made it. What are your thoughts? Do you think they could be lying?
Wait, what was the actual... Well, okay, so obviously Tencent is the big company. Well, what happened? What exactly did they say?
They did not achieve anything in 2023.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think any of those games made big developments in 2023. So I mean, I guess maybe that's true. Maybe I don't know. I'm sure they did some small things, but I don't know if they were
not enough
impacted too many people. Yeah, I don't know if it was enough by their standards.
I mean, gaming as of right now is kind of a little bit of a stagnant just because of how big a lot of indie stuff was recently last year. Nothing too big came from AAA studios that I can really think of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest games probably last year were like later in the year. Starfield was obviously big. That, of course, didn't go to plan as much as I would have hoped, but it was Baldur's Gate. That was pretty big. But past that, yeah, I can't really think of any like major AAA games that came out. I mean, there were more like big ones, but I don't think there were any like crazy big ones aside from that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways, with that news out of the way, we're going to be going to a quick break here, and then once we come back, we will have our lovely host join the show and explain to us the game. All right, and I'm going to call for dinner. I would love for that to be in the recording.
Me too.
I would love for that to be recording.
That is actually perfect. No, I heard it well over here, so I think it was good. All right.
With that, we're going to be switching on a break. Do you have anything else left to add?
Nope. We'll see you all soon. And welcome back, guys. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about the video game today. This is actually the first time we have a third person on the call. What's up, Randall?
Hey.
We've had multiple different people from in our gameplay join it wise, but we haven't actually had anyone on the podcast. So this is testing this out. Randall is here for our host trials part of the segment, where we'll be going over the game that he has brought to the table. The mic is over to you now.
So I'm bringing Hunt Showdown. So if you don't know about the game, it originally started as a co-op multiplayer game. So it was up for like 4 people. It was just like a campaign thing set in Louisiana. So it was the same sort of game, but the developer was Crytek USA. So they announced the game in June 2014, and then Crytek USA actually went under, so the game kind of got shelved, and they got sent over to...
Aren't they the people that made Crysis?
Yeah.
Isn't this the same company that made Crysis? Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know them.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll probably know a couple of their other games. But essentially the game got sent over to their Germany headquarters, and it was shelved for a while. And then with the release of games like PUBG, Fortnite, like the whole Battle Royale type of game, they're like, hey, we have this almost finished game just sitting here. Why don't we do something with it and make it something different? So essentially what they did was they took the game that they had and they rebuilt it to be a Battle Royale. But it's more similar to Tarkov, where like you have your loadout, you go into the game and you do something and you try and get out, or like DMZ and Call of Duty. So same sort of feel as that. So you're not like dropping in with nothing and trying to find stuff. So it's a little bit different from those games in that way. But
okay,
so that's kind of the history of where the game came about from on the development side. But so for the game itself, it is set in 1895 Louisiana, in like the swamps in the bayou. And the backstory of it is there are these like supernatural creatures that you're going in and you're hunting, and then you're getting their bounty and you're leaving. So essentially, they call it the what is it called?
PvPvE. Or...
No, the name of the what is this thing called? There's basically there's a supernatural being that came through a interdimensional rift. There's very loose.
Yeah,
yes,
like
there's
Jack
very
and the
loose.
Beanstalks?
No, being B-I or
Oh,
B-E-I-N-G.
I thought you said bean. I was like, what? What do you mean bean?
The backstory for this is very loose because it's like they kind of just created stuff and then they're like, all right, now we have to actually explain why stuff is here. So there's a supernatural being that came through a rift and started like creating monsters, or more or less. So these monsters live in Louisiana. And then there's a secret society called the AHA, which is the American Hunters Association, that basically goes in and kills supernatural things. So the government basically calls on them to like, hey, come in and take care of this for us. But it's not a very well organized company or organization. So basically, none of the hunters like working together. So that's why there is PvP in the game, is because there's different factions and splits in the AHA itself, because different hunters like team up in different like factions. And like all that is different, is explained in different things in the game. So like there's like a voodoo faction, there's like a Christianity faction. There's all these different like splits in it, and that's how they explain the PvP.
Yeah, when I think about that kind of stuff, the first things I'm obviously thinking about are voodoo and Christian, the two that.
Well, those are just the two examples that this gives. But there are lots of other like factions and splits, and that's like kind of what the different like DLCs in the game are, is like the different characters and skins you can run with.
Yeah, can we talk about the DLCs real quick? Because that was something that I was looking at. Can you explain to me how we've gotten to the point of Hunt Showdown where they almost have as much DLC price-wise as Sims 4?
I honestly don't understand either, but like they seem to have a DLC or like one or two DLCs like every month right now. So like they're keeping up pretty well with demand of the game. Like I can't even keep up with a lot of the stuff that they release.
I said Sims 4, but I went onto the Sims 4 Steam page just to look. Sims 4 is 1.2K for all of the DLCs.
Oh my gosh.
Hunt Showdown is only 400. Only 400.
Only 400. Yeah. No, it's been picking up a lot of traction over the last couple years. The game itself came out in 2017, I think. And it was kind of small. Not really many people played it. But I think around like 2019 to like 2021 is they started releasing a ton of new things. Like they added more bosses, and like the DLCs kind of picked up from there. So do you want me to like go over the bosses now, or do you want me to like to explain them when we're like in game and like we see stuff, or how do you want to do this?
I think go over like the best way I think we would do it, because I've played a bit of it. Alex hasn't at all.
Mm-hmm.
Alex has never heard of this game before.
Yeah,
I would assume.
No, I've never heard of it.
So just go over a very light explanation to the point where we won't know what's going on when we get in.
Mm-hmm. Makes for good clips.
Okay, so
that's all.
So there's lots of different types of mobs in the game. So I'll just give you the names. There are the grunts, which are essentially just zombies. Armored. There's hellhound. There's hives. There's emulators. There's meatheads, and there's water devils. So those are the like regular monsters you'll see just around. And then the bosses. There is the assassin, the butcher, the spider, Scrapbeak, and Rotjaw. Rotjaw is like a mini boss, so it's only like half a boss, so you only get one bounty from them, where most of the other bosses will give 2 bounties. I think that's all of them. Yeah, so there's only 5 right now. So originally when the game released, it was just the Butcher and the Spider, and then they added the Assassin a little bit later, and then Scrapbeak.
If I see
I
this
have
right.
the image over here, and that's pretty realistic.
Yeah, so some of the enemies in the game are from the supernatural thing, and then some of them are creations of the AHA to like combat the monsters.
Okay.
So, for example, the emulator was actually the backstory on the emulator was a reverend who got like attacked by a bunch of people, and then he basically went into a rage and murdered all of them. So that was the kind of the emulator. And then their explanation as to why there's multiple of everything and why they like keep coming back game after game is that everything is cloned. So essentially every monster is based on one thing, and then it's just cloned thereafter. Except for the grunts. Grunts are just people that are turned into zombies. So grunts weren't created; they were kind of just a side effect. And they started off as being called like the plague. And then they're like, "Hey, why is this dead person walking again?" And like, well, okay, what's going on? So they're more of a side effect of the thing. So, but all the other ones are like designed creatures that were created by either the supernatural thing or by the AHA to combat the other stuff. So the sculptor, that was the word I was trying to think of. So
Okay.
the supernatural being, they call him the sculptor.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, so gameplay wise, I think this is the best way to kind of start this because Alex hasn't played it before.
Okay.
Gameplay wise, let's have Alex guess how the game works based on what you've explained so far, and then we'll grade it as is.
Okay, so just guess how this works.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Just based off of the images you're looking at right now on screen that
Yeah.
you've Googled, and then
Okay.
based on how Randall has explained it,
all
kind of
right,
go for it.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, I guess we will. He said like you started off as kind of like a battle royale, so I'm guessing maybe we go in multiple factions, multiple people or whatever. Like start in this one map. There's at least one boss, I guess, and the whole map has got these the grunts or these others like lower characters around it. And the goal of it is to go in and maybe whoever kills the monster wins, or whoever like gets out alive wins. I'm not entirely sure how much battle royale it actually is, but
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty close. Basically, you go in. There is either one or two bosses, and each boss drops 2, except for Rotjaw will drop 1 bounties, and then you have to extract with those bounties. So you have to go in, you have to kill it, you have to grab the bounty, and you have to get out without dying.
So like DMZ,
Easy.
which is why you mentioned it. Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
So each game, a full lobby is 12 players. So teams of 3, 4 teams of 3. It could be solos, it could be duos. So like it's not locked to teams of 3. So a lot of times what you'll see is, so there's an MMR system. When you're new, you start at 3 stars and it goes all the way up to 6. So a lot of times what you'll see in lower MMR 3s, so like all of us are probably going to be like 3 MMR, and we're going to see probably some like 5-star, 6-star solos, or like higher MMR solo players, which is really frustrating to deal with, but it's just kind of how it goes sometimes. So
got it.
But yeah, as far as gameplay goes, all the guns and weapons in the game are based off of real life weapons that were around at this time period. Some of the modifications are like super niche stuff, is like yeah, that would probably existed, but it wasn't something that was on like a regular gun all the time. Like there's a semi-automatic shotgun that has like a chamber on the side that like reloads the ammo for you, but like it existed in real life, but like maybe only like 3 of them ever were built. So so like stuff like that, like it's all realistic gun technology that existed in the time. So and all the guns are based off of real life guns, and they all fire about how you would expect them to in real life.
Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. This is real. These are real. Don't worry. It may be like you've only seen one of these before, but it still works. Don't worry.
Someone built one, so it's here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, but anyways, kind of getting into the meat of it before we get involved with it, I think the last kind of question I want to ask you is: do you like the game, and what are your general thoughts on the game?
Well, yeah, I mean it's a lot of fun. Obviously because I'm bringing it up here, but there is a couple things that are just like frustrating in the game, like the MMR things where like you'll see these solos and like during events. So they have events every couple months where they have like special perks that you can get that basically makes it really hard to kill solo players. So that is probably the most frustrating thing, where you kill a solo player and then there's a perk that's called Necromancer where they can revive themselves and then they just stand up again and they have to kill them like 4 more times. So the way the health system works in this game is each hunter starts out with 150 health, and that is either broken into 50 chunks or 25 health chunks. So every time you get downed, you lose one of those chunks. So you can get downed up to like 3 or 4 times, depending on how many chunks you have in your health bar, which means that you have to kill a solo player that many times before they're actually down. So there are works or ways around that. So like you can burn a body and that will burn their chunks down, stuff like that. So yeah, that's probably the only thing that like really frustrates me about this game. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty fun. But there's a slight learning curve of how to deal with the monsters in the game, because if you don't kill them in the correct way, then you're gonna be hurting pretty bad. So I'll explain stuff kind of as we go once we're in the game about that sort of stuff.
Sounds good.
But
well, I think with that, Alex, you have anything left to add? What are your thoughts on this? I've already kind of played it, so I can't really add much into it.
My thoughts are there's definitely going to be at least one situation in which I think I kill something, and then it gets up when I turn around and I'm dead. But like, you know, I'm here for it. So yeah, that's all I got.
Well, I think with that, we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we will be done with the game, and we'll be talking about it, so stay tuned.
All right, guys, welcome back to Bits and Caffeine.
can't breathe.
All right, guys, welcome back to Bits and Caffeine. This is Host Trials. This is the second part. We just finished playing the Hunt Showdown. We came back. There's some bites. There's some sound bites that y'all probably didn't hear, but we all did. Anyway, we finished playing the game. We got a few hours playing it. It was pretty fun. Overall, I think it was a very unique game, very interesting game, but we'll get to that a little bit more. So,
roll the credits.
Back to you, or over to you, Randall, since you're the one that brought it up. So,
yeah. So what'd you guys think of the game overall? Like the feel, the pace, the theme?
I think the pace was a little slow, but other than that, I'm not. Those aren't my type of games, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was a mess, but it was like a clean mess. It was. We played a couple hours with you, and then we played a couple hours by yourself, just so we had people in our own elo as well for a little bit, because somebody is way too high for us to the point where we're getting people that one tap my ass.
Elo, bro.
We're not. That's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're not average. That's our problem. But playing through it though, it was a lot of fun. Got some funny moments, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, it was a very unique game. Like, it was definitely fun, but like,
Yeah,
well, not really, but per se, but just like it's very, it's very unique in how the game style is. Of course,
you
I mean,
have
obviously
to play the fights out very slow compared to most FPSs, where you kind of can just run in and gun people down a lot of times. Where in this game, you have to play it slow and take your time.
Yeah, which I think is kind of telling for the time of the year that it's supposed to be, which was like 1890 or something.
Usually at this time period, you get one shot, and then you have to reload for 5 minutes.
Exactly. So, So it kind of like relays that well, I think. But also just overall, just like how you go in, it's like this big map. You've got it's a person versus environment. So you've got other people there, but like for the most part, you're traveling the map. You're trying to find clues. You're trying to get to something. But like you're fighting like little mini bosses sometimes, and then you eventually fight the big boss. But then you also do have to worry about other people that are trying to wait on you, like wait for you to like turn corners, stuff like that, because they hide in corners a lot with shotguns. I don't love that aspect of the game, I'll admit, but
I think that's just kind of a thing that happens more in lower elos
and that
of
makes
the game.
Sense. But, yeah.
But you play COD, you should be used to people camping at this rate.
I play COD ranked is what I play mostly, and not really. Unless it's like search, but even at that point, I understand the maps and everything about them. So,
it's I definitely. So I am not, or when it comes to most games, I usually play long range or medium range. That's usually my go-to. But I learned very quickly that using a shotgun and rushing people was my gameplay for this, and it worked out very well.
Well, the way the compounds are designed, you kind of either have to know the compounds really well or kind of just sit in corners with shotguns. So
there's I know you haven't seen it, Randall, but there's a clip that'll probably go onto the actual video of we spawn in and start running around looking for stuff, and as Alex turns the corner, another guy turns the corner, and they both basically kiss.
I start hitting him. He got a few shots in, but it was very.
You just start mailing.
I did not expect
other?
to see.
Yeah, they both had knives out. So.
I think he meleeed me. I think that's what it was. But yeah, like it definitely caught me off guard because it was like basically in the first couple minutes. But yeah, that was interesting.
I was falling behind, so I kind of just watched the whole thing go down as them knifing each other, and then his teammate pulled out a gun behind him and tried to get us, but he died pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, the game is meant for 4 teams of 3, so like 12 players, and usually when there's 4 teams, they can like all spawn in opposite corners. But when you're playing like duos or solos and stuff, and then there's a bunch of individuals in there, then a lot of people are spawning closer, or more or less on top of each other too, because some of the spawn points are pretty close.
Yeah.
So
that's a little concerning, but still, I mean, it was still fun, and they weren't. We wouldn't have ran into them if we were running a different direction. It's just kind of how it went. I mean, it made for a funny moment, and I'm not against that at all. I'm not against close spawns.
Yeah,
but it was still fun, to say the least. It was a lot. I enjoyed it.
When we were playing like the lower MR or whatever it's called, we definitely ran across some players that were, let's just say, lost. Had no idea what they were doing on like gunplay or on the map. So that was that also probably made for some interesting, because in one situation, Sky I think got downed in like one of our first games playing, where it's just me and him. And then like I ran up to the guy, and he like I downed him. I didn't realize he could get back up. Like he got back up, and then he just started like wandering. But we did figure out like that it was a real person, which we thought it was a bot at first. But yeah, no, it was.
How does
I don't just know if there's any bots in this game.
How does the revive work?
So there's a trait. It's called Necromancer, where if you're playing solo, after you're downed, it gives you like a 10-second countdown. It might be 5 seconds. I forget the exact number. Where you just wait that time, and then you hit the revive button, and you can wait however long you want to. So you could wait 20 minutes if you wanted to, or you could just stand up as soon as it lets you. So when you stand up, it's the same as getting revived by a teammate, where you'll stand up with like 50 health, or whatever it is. But there are also traits that allow you to be revived with more health. So sometimes you can pair those together and then stand up and basically be full health.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we got to the point where we would take people down and we would sit over their bodies for like a solid 5 to 10 minutes, thinking that they'll revive.
yeah,
Then we could
Yeah.
lose track of time, so we're sitting there waiting, like, come on, we like double tap them just to make
Yeah,
sure they
there was a
won't come
couple of
back
double
up.
taps there. Yeah.
well, you can burn bodies and you can put traps on bodies. If you burn a body, then the chunks burn while they're dead, so that they'll completely burn out and then not be able to stand up anymore.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't see that option. We just double tapped in the head. So
yeah, shooting
that's
them
all
while
we
they're
had.
already down doesn't do anything. So
I didn't think so, but I was okay
was
with
fun.
wasting the bullet just in case. Yeah. Just in case.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's definitely a big difference when playing with normal players versus when we play with newer players.
The big difference is we get like people like that who genuinely just look lost on the map versus the one guy
Well,
that killed us all with a sword
right.
in 3 seconds.
it's a lot to take in. Like, there's so much going on the map, with like every single thing on the map making sound, like all the different monsters that have different characteristics and like all are trying to kill you. And then just like how the map is designed and like what you're trying to do, and then also not trying to make sound to alert enemy players to being nearby. So yeah, it's a lot to take in for new players. So there's definitely a bit of a learning curve where you kind of need to get a few hours in before you actually can, like, all right, now I can just kind of play the game instead of trying to figure out everything that's going on. So
It's fun though. I enjoyed it. Now, if it is it a game that I would continue playing, I don't know. I
it's
feel
a
like
fun game to
it
play
gets
with friends.
repetitive.
I usually just try and I would never play it solo because
That's fair.
I don't like that culture. But it's also it's more fun to play with people for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that I play with people and whatnot. I don't think that this is a game that because when I say come back to, I'm thinking like Counter-Strike, where I have almost 3,000 hours in Counter-Strike.
I
Like,
don't
Counter-Strike,
think
I
you're gonna
devote
put 3,000 hours in this game.
Yeah, no, I devote a lot of random time to things. But for that, I said I'm almost 3,000. I'm at 3.3 actually right now for Counter-Strike.
Oh,
But I don't want to know what your league one is.
I don't know because they don't keep track.
There's got to be some kind of track.
I think we did like a general calculation. I don't think it was
Riot keeps
fully
track
there, but
of 2 years, and then after 2 years, they clear the servers.
I think we guessed somewhere around like 8,000 hours or something like
Yeah.
that.
That
Very
seems,
very general, but you know.
That
seems-
feels about right.
Yeah. What's your name on League, by the way?
Why?
Oh, so what's your
I
name on
don't
League?
want it in the podcast world.
Oh, I can censor it. Don't worry.
No, I'm good.
Well, what's your name on League?
If we actually do a league episode, maybe I'll share that information.
That would,
Hopefully. That's kind of important, but yeah.
No, I'd probably just go on a Smurf account actually, so you won't actually know my main account.
Actually, that would make sense, so that we probably wouldn't get picked with as a good player. So actually, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you would not want to
But-
play with me as my main account right now.
Fair.
But back over to the game we're talking about. I definitely think that
Yeah.
it's good. It's fun. It's nice to play from time to time, but I don't think it's a game I would 100% devote myself to.
How'd you feel about like the unique gun mechanics, like how there's no bullet drop and stuff like that?
That was a little bit difficult to get used to, but I do enjoy it. The reloading time made me lose my mind for a little bit. How long it took.
Did you? Well, there's perks that can help with that, like different things, and there's different modifications to certain weapons that make reloading faster. Or for like the Mosin Nagant with one of the sniper rifles, if you try and reload it when it's half full already, you'll just put one in at a time. But if it's completely empty, you'll shove a whole clip in, and then it'll be like a lot faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just depends on what gun you're using, if it has a modification, and like how many bullets are in it. Because if it's fully empty, the reload time is usually quicker. But it just depends on the gun. So,
Okay.
did you guys notice that the crosshair is not in the center of the screen?
I did not notice that.
No,
And
I never noticed that.
I hate that you just brought that up because now that's all I'm going to see the next time I play.
It's about an inch or so lower than the center of the screen.
Well, that just
Huh,
sounds fun.
interesting.
Yeah.
I think I would.
I don't
lose
know if
my
many
mind.
games do that, but for the most part, I figured most games have it straight on in the center.
Yeah, I think most games have it pretty centered.
So I'm not sure what the decision was for that, or like why they decided to do that, but it's just a unique thing that I found out about it.
It might be so that they wanted to because they found it easier that way to keep less of the gun off the screen or something like that. So maybe because those are some of those are pretty big guns. I think and take up a solid amount of the screen. They probably didn't want them to take up more. Maybe especially even while you're ADSing. So that could maybe have played a role in that to some degree.
Yeah.
But I think the best way to kind of sum up this episode, though, would be Alex. What would you rate the game and your reasoning on why?
Okay.
Randall waits with bated
I think I'd give it a
breath.
solid 7 because I think it's definitely really fun and very unique. And so maybe a little bit more, but I'm not sure if it would fully be like an 8. So maybe like a 7.5. We make the rules. We might as well be able to throw in a 0.5 there.
Fair.
Because it is fun. It's definitely unique in a lot of different ways, I'd say. So yeah, I think a 7.5 is pretty good. And it wouldn't particularly be higher because I'd play it again for sure, but I'm not sure. I wouldn't go back and play solo. It probably wouldn't be one of the first games that comes to mind for me, but I definitely would be down to play it again. It's definitely not a game that I'd rate a 5 or something like that and would probably just never come back to. Sure. So yeah, 7.5, I think.
Well, if we're gonna do that, I'm gonna give my rating just out of spite. I'm gonna give it a 6.9. Just for spite.
Oh, you liked
wise.
it that much? Okay.
Yeah, 6.9 out. So just I definitely like it. I've kind of already brought up that it's not something that I would come back to often.
Sure.
But that's definitely a game that I would play with friends. And I feel like at the same time, it'll definitely with all these updates, there's definitely going to be people that'll be following this more than others. So it'll always have some kind of sweaty player base, and then the people that are just.
I mean, also right now there's the event going on, so there's a lot of different things happening. So when events aren't going on, it's a little bit more casual.
Okay.
So is it a do they get a decent amount of players normally without events, or? Because I had a couple
I know that
ask
the
me
player
if I had
base
the game.
spikes a bit during events, but I couldn't tell you how much.
Yeah, I just know that the game is. I know that somewhat with the game. I've had a dozen some people ask me if I have the game, so I know people play it. I get asked about it a lot.
Okay,
but I don't know if.
They usually average around 15 to 20,000 average players at a time.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so before the event, and I don't remember the event started. Let me check. The event started
it should
December 13th. So in December it went up to 19,000. Before that, it was at 16,000. October was 20,000. September was 11,000. So they're kind of jumping around in those numbers.
Okay.
Say their peak all time is 44,000. And that was in June of this last year.
Was there an event going on then?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the event that introduced the crocodile.
The crocodile.
Yeah. Which I don't think you guys got to see that yet either.
Yeah, I don't think we ever saw that.
I don't know what we saw. But with that, we're going to end this episode here because we are going a little bit over time, and I can only pay for so much storage. Thank you, Randall, for coming on this episode. We'll hope to see you back eventually. We're just going to have the same people over and over again every single episode.
Yeah, you guys only have 2 friends, so...
Yeah, pretty much.
That's unfortunate.
All right, well, thank you all so much for watching or listening. You can watch us on our YouTube channel at bitsandcaffeine.com. That's all of our linked social medias and whatnot. I point down, check down below in the description.
Yeah, guys, watch the video of the podcast.
Watch our video. We're sponsored by Spotify. No. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Do you guys have anything else left to add?
Nope. We'll see y'all later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.